Hey guys, this is your Unit 8 activity, and as you can see, I've already filled in all the blocks here. So on slide 3 and 4, you have your answer tiles that you are going to cut and paste and put in to these rows. You're going to find the examples that match angle, angle, side, hypotenuse, leg. And if there is no way to prove with the information that you're given, they go in this row. Here we have side, 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 and angle, side, angle. So if we start back up here at angle, angle, side, these two triangles here, these orange triangles, we can prove that they are congruent because they have, clicking the wrong things. Because they have these two sides that are congruent. They have this angle here that's congruent. And for our third piece of information, we're going to use these vertical angles right here to prove that this is congruent. So we have angle, angle, and a non-included side to prove that these two angles are congruent. Our second ones here, we use angle, angle, side again because we have our angles here that are marked with these arcs. We also have these two angles here, our vertical angles. And we also have this non-included side. On this yellow triangle, we know that our two angles here, we have the one with the one arcs and the one with the two arcs. And we know that these two angles here are going to be congruent. These two angles here are going to be congruent. But what do we do for our side? Well, we use this leg right here, right down the middle, as our reflexive side. And so if we tore these triangles apart right down the middle here, they're both going to have the same measure of this middle line here. So that's where we get our side to prove that it is congruent using angle, angle, side. For hypotenuse leg, excuse me, we need to look for right triangles, and we do that by either seeing the triangles that have these boxes in the corners, or like this one is marked 90 degrees in this corner. For the hypotenuse leg to work, we need the hypotenuse, which is our side directly across from our 90-degree angle, to be congruent, and this is true here. On here, our hypotenuse for both of these triangles is also a reflexive line right here. So that's going to be congruent. And then on these red ones right here we look here and our sides are marked congruent with these three hash marks. So our hypotenuses are congruent, and now we need a leg of each triangle to be congruent. Well, here we have these legs here marked congruent, these legs here marked congruent, and this leg here is both labeled 8, so those are congruent. If you work through the none line, none of these pairs of triangles give us enough information to be able to decide and apply one of our postulates. So these are all none here. On slide 2, we start with side, 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 and that is simply what it is. All the sides have to be congruent. For this first one, that looks like a paper airplane. We have our two sides, and then we have our reflexive line here that is going to be congruent for both sides. For these two triangles here, you can see that we have a side on each one that has a corresponding marking. We have 1 tick mark, 2 tick marks, and 3 tick marks on both. And then for these 2 red triangles down here, we have this side that's marked with 1 tick mark, with these sides that are marked with 2, and then we have our reflexive line right here in the middle that's going to be congruent for both sides. So these are all side, side, side. Next, for side angle side, with the side angle side, you have to have 2 sides that are congruent, and the angle that those 2 lines form has to be congruent. So on here, the trick with this one is these are vertical angles, and vertical angles are always congruent. And then we have side, our included angle, and our other side. And the same over here, our side, our included angle, and our other side, and that's all congruent. For this yellow triangle, if we have one angle that is touching and it's 90 degrees, that angle is going to be 90 degrees. We have our side here marked that it is congruent, and then we have our reflexive line right here down the middle. So we have side, angle, side. And on these 2 little orange triangles here, it's clearly marked. It's given us all of our information, super easy. We have our sides of 9, we have our sides of 7, and then we have our angle that's in between those 2, and it's all marked as congruent. So those will be congruent. And for our last ones, we have our angle, side, angle. So you need to have 2 angles that are congruent, and you need to have the side that is included in between those 2 angles. So what I'm talking about is, let's look at these pink triangles first. So we have our angle here and our angle here that's congruent. We have our sides that are marked congruent, but we need another angle. So what do? We use our vertical angles here as our other angle. So we have angle, side, angle. For these 2 little teal triangles and these purple triangles, well, we had to figure out what is the measure of these other angles to be able to include them in the proof that angle, side, angle works and proves that they're congruent. So on here, we have 31 and 38. Well, that makes, if we subtract 31 and 37, we get 112 as our other angle, and here we have 112 and 37, so this one is going to be 31. So all of our angles are congruent, but we can't use angle, angle, angle. That's not an option. But we can use angle, side, angle to prove. And it works out because we have 37 and 31 on both, and that side there is congruent, marked with that hash mark. On these 2 purple ones, it's the same thing. We have 56 degrees on both of these angles. We have 63 here and 61 here. Well, if we do a little math and we subtract 61 and 56 from 180, we get 63. And if we subtract 63 and 56 from 180, we get 61. So now we have all of our angles, and we do have a side that is marked congruent. So we can say that 61, let's use a different color. 61 is our angle, our side is here, and 63 is our side, and the same thing down here. 61 is our angle, our line is congruent, and 63 is our other angle. All right, guys, that's all we have for this one. If you have any questions, please reach out and let me know. Have a great day.